Howdy. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nolan Maldonado, and I am the Website Migration Coordinator here at Texas A&M AgriLife Marketing and Communications. And I want to start by thanking you for taking the time today to watch this short video about the subject matter expert reviews that we are going to be embarking on for the Soil and Crop Sciences new website. So just briefly to talk a little bit about what's happened thus far. Um, we have undertaken the project of updating all of the department websites. You can kind of see here on the slide to, kind of review and improve that information, but also make sure that as we move into a new template, we're also making sure that the information is refreshed as we do so. And so the steps we've taken thus far were a content edit completed by the department where they went through the website page by page and figured out, what content was going to be kept on the new website, what content needed to be reviewed and maybe reassessed or reframed, and then what content could we leave behind on the old website. And from there, we created a development site, which is a live website, but it's not visible to the public. So we're able to test layouts, update information as we go along without having to worry about anybody seeing it. After that, we started into the review phase that we'll be discussing today with the liaison review, where Beth did a phenomenal job of helping us organize the content in a way that makes sense. And from there, we'll get into the subject matter expert review. So moving forward, I really want to emphasize sort of the philosophy behind our efforts in these projects. In the past, I know there was a lot of disconnect between Marcom and the departments, and we want to try to bridge that gap and really utilize our collective knowledges as we move forward with these websites that are really important to the different processes within the department. So what that looks like in real time is, within the department, we have, experts who understand the accuracy, the specific information that's on the website. They know where links are supposed to go to. They know that if they're so familiar with the information, the duplicate information is going to be more obvious to them. And they also know the timeliness and the relevance within the content that's on the page. And on Markham side of things, while we are not an expert in soil and crop sciences, we do have experts in web design and web functionality and project management for web. Um, and so we want to sort of provide that in terms of creating pages that are engaging to users, taking content and strategizing it so that it's really user friendly, making sure also that the back end is functional in terms of its ability to be searched on Google, its compliance with ADA, as well as making sure that we're tracking data that users are providing to give you the best functionality for your website. A little bit about our team. Like I said, I'm the web migration coordinator. I'm going to be your main contact for any questions you have about the website or the website migration process. Beth McCloskey has been designated as our website liaison. She has been phenomenal in terms of helping us get the website ready for the SME review that we'll be discussing today. And then lastly, and especially not least, the subject matter experts, which is you, designated as someone within the department who when it comes to a certain subject matter, your department feels that you can answer any question about that, and that's really exciting to get to work with a group of, like I said, definitely content experts for this material. So the review process is really straightforward. Like I said, the first process is migration. We do a content audit, figure out what's on the website, and move it over. And we always like to fall back to our metaphor of sort of moving houses. First of all, we went through all the rooms, we culled all the stuff that we don't need anymore. Got rid of those sweaters that we've never worn, got rid of those Father's Day gifts that have sat in boxes for weeks, maybe even years. And we took all of that and we put it onto the moving van, and we brought it over to the new house. So the first phase that has been completed by Beth is the liaison review, where we went through and just put everything where it needed to belong. Couches went in the living room, beds went in the bedroom, utensils went in the kitchen. And like I said, Beth did a phenomenal job of helping us do that, as well as designating the subject matter experts. So she helped us come up with the list that we have of the subject matter experts who will be responsible for each area. And this is an example chart here on the right. These aren't the subject matter experts, but yeah, that's how we got the list of designations for those specific areas. But after that, we roll into phase two, which is the subject matter expert review. So at the very beginning of the 10-day period that you'll have to review the website, you'll receive an email that looks very similar to this one here. It'll have your name as well as links to this video, a Canva, the Canva that's being used here, as well as a document that outlines all of the steps for this phase and the other phases as well. It will have the timeline for when the edits are due, as well as the links that you're responsible for. Um, this phase is really sort of the nitty gritty of the content. We fall back to that house metaphor, and this is, my wife directing me in the room, pointing where things need to go exactly, and how they need to be arranged. Our goal here is really to get the content figured out. So, like I said, the first phase is very much the organization of the website. The second phase is correcting the content. And the way that we correct that content is by providing feedback via Hotjar. So Hotjar is a tool that's installed on every page of the website. With it, as you can see in the little GIF I've provided here, you can look through the content on the website, the specific words or images. And for example, in this one, he saw that the classes have changed for this entomology program. And so he went over to Hotjar. He provided sort of a little bit of feedback on the page, lets you put in a little emoticon. Then using the screenshot tool, he can select everything from the entire page to a paragraph to a single line of text, an image, whatever it needs to be. And then using the text box, he's able to provide specific feedback on what needs to be corrected. So in this case, the courses listed were 201, 208, and 301. He gave feedback that it's 202, 209, and 302. And he was specific that the course is for study abroad. He left his name as well as his email address, which would allow us to follow up afterwards and say either, hey, this edit has been made, or I need a little follow up because I don't quite follow what this feedback was. And that's it. And then you get a little notification, and you can submit as many of those per page as you would like. So those will go to one singular place, our Hotjar software, as opposed to in the past where we had 30 subject matter experts, and each one was sending me 5 to 10 emails a day. We had a lot of edits got lost. So this lets us keep track of everything. And so if you ever have a question about an edit you submitted or you didn't see feedback on it, you can feel free to let us know and we can look it up in Hotjar. So Hotjar, like I said, is very straightforward, but I do want to go through a brief example just to really reiterate what it is. I know we get a lot of questions about it because it is a unfamiliar process to a lot of people who haven't dealt with websites, and that's totally okay. Even after this explanation, if you still have questions and want to reach out, please feel free to do so. Like I said, we do have only that 10 business day limit to submit edits so that we can stay on track for the launch sequence. Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. But in this example, this subject matter expert was given the Master of Agriculture and Horticulture page to look through. So he scrolled through, he was checking through all the information and on the text itself, make sure the buttons go where they're supposed to go. And he noticed that in this line here, the minimum GPR had changed for his program. Great. So he opened up Hotjar on the right side, which it looks like my images don't want to load. There it goes. He opened up Hotjar on the right side, if the image wants to load. The dialog box with the emoticons was popped up. Excuse me, that's popping my page here. The dialog box with the emoticons popped up, and from there he was able to select one. Excuse me, my computer had a little jump. Okay. Knowing what content he was going to be editing on the page, he selected the screenshot tool down here in the bottom left corner of the text box. And from there, he selected the content that he wanted to edit. So this is what it will look like in real time when you're editing. After that screenshot tool, if it wants to load, this will stay highlighted. It'll be marked as change. He provided very specific feedback within the text box. So the minimum GPR is 3.5 in the same number of hours and 5.75 in the 30 hours of graduate work. Good luck to those grads. But after that, he made sure to include his email address so that we could reach out to him and let him know that that edit has been made. And he received a little notification that his feedback was submitted. All feedback that is submitted will be followed up on, whether that's just a notification that that edit has been made or whether it's a follow-up of like, hey, I didn't quite understand this or I need more clarification. And those will all go out at the end of the day. So no matter how many you submit, you will just get a list of all 5, 10, 50, 100 at the very end of the day. And so you won't be bombarded with emails in that way. And then like I said, I do encourage you to check those emails. I will highlight any feedback that requires follow-up from us. So a little bit about feedback coming in from Hotjar, because we do get a lot of different feedback and there is no bad feedback. But I do want to talk a little bit about the different aspects. So, quick factual requests made by members of the department. Updating class names, hours, information on people profiles, all that stuff is quickly made, and that's followed up by email. Like I said, that the edit has been made. If we do receive a factual change with no contact information, we will make that update, but we will email the subject matter expert for that page that update has been made. Now, we strongly encourage the subject matters to stick to the pages they're responsible for editing. We have gotten a ton of feedback that it can get very overwhelming when you start to look at all the different content on all the different pages. But that being said, if you do see something on a page, we recommend that you reach out to that subject matter expert as opposed to submitting feedback, because then we have to, if Dr. Baltensberger is not marked as a reviewer for corn research, and he makes an edit on that page, I will have to reach out to the corn subject matter expert and let them know that feedback was made. I don't know by who, and they will have to decide whether that edit needs to be made. It's just a lot more back and forth than is probably necessary. So, like I said, I recommend that you reach out to the subject matter expert for that area. We do get feedback from time to time that's very vague. This is bad, this is confusing, doesn't make sense. And again, there's no bad feedback, but what we'll do with that is put it into a list for per page. And if we get 2 or 3 on that page that say, doesn't make sense, needs help, we'll reach out to those subject matter experts and talk about what the problem is there and figure out if a change needs to be made before launch, or if we can go ahead and launch it the way it is and then continue to update it immediately after launch. Lastly is feature requests. We do get features from time to time, image sliders, links to PowerPoints, embeds of YouTube. And while, like I said, there is no bad feedback, each one of those features will be looked at and discussed within our team to figure out if they answer a couple of questions. One, does it meet the department's stated goals? So back in February, we had a meeting with the department to talk through some of the goals of the department, some of the audiences and the strategies to reach those audiences. And so if the feature doesn't exactly serve that purpose or solve the problem for that audience member, we'll assess it in a couple of other ways. The first one is further testing. So Hotjar is not only a feedback tool, it allows us to collect data on the website after launch. And so from there, we can track users' abilities to use items on the website and figure out where they're getting lost, where they're having pain points, where there's issues, and compare that to the feature request and see if that solves an issue for the audience. Does it require custom development? Is it something we've never done before that we've got to figure out how to build and make sure it works on our server? And lastly, does it have implications for other department websites? We do find requests that come through to change things like the main navigation bar. The top level, we try to stay the same, but after that, we can change it up for the different departments, so on and so forth. Any requests that come in like that will be addressed and will be explained in that way. I always put here at the end, requests that do affect multiple departments require a lot more testing because they affect 15 different departments, and we've got to make sure it works for all of them. So, but that's feedback in a nutshell. And like I said, I do want to emphasize that the goal of this feedback is not to make the website absolutely perfect, the iteration that it will be forever and ever, amen. This launch is just the first step in this website. So the goal is to get it in a secure place so that it doesn't turn into an Albanian gambling website, as some other sites have been hacked into and done. So once it's in a safe and secure place and the information that we have on it is accurate, starting the minute after launch until 10 years down the road when we do another migration, we will continue to improve constantly. And so we want to make sure that we don't get too caught up in the weeds. We want to make sure that the information is there. No, like I said,